What? What? I'm awake. I'm awake. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I was just dozing a little bit there. I was up late wrapping presents. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but you're so delightful. Long as we let it go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Hey, welcome to Tom's Cabin. Good to have you with us. Happy holidays. Show number what? I think 25. Um, and we're coming to you, the early December timeframe. See the hat, see how it all works together. Um, and I hope you're well, and I hope you're happy and healthy, and that Santa brings you everything that you want this year. You've been a good boy and a good girl. And we've got a great show for you this week. We've got a wonderful up and coming author, P.A. White. We're going to talk about her new book, Until I Come Back for You, set in the 70s. We're going to talk about that. We've got some news, lots of news going on, lots of new books coming out. We're going to talk about that and new music. We're always from a reader and a listener perspective. We're going to talk about some of those new books. I've got a wonderful, wonderful gift guide for you. Top 5 gifts for the reader in your life and the top 5 gifts for the music lover in your life. So we'll have those. We have the latest in news as we talked about. And we're also going to have the Barnes and Noble Discover Prize finalists and winner. We'll talk about that program. That's kind of exciting. Our friend Mandy Jo Squires has got some new books out. We'll talk about her. What else? Also, one of my favorite new books, 1929. We're going to talk about that. That's a wonderful book by the guy that wrote Too Big to Fail. And then we're also going to talk about the new audiobooks from Chirp. You know, everybody goes to Audible. Audible's a great site, but there are other avenues and outlets for audiobooks. And boy, audiobooks have really, really taken off. They are becoming more and more popular. People can listen to them on the way to work, when they're running with a Walkman or whatever. Um, I wasn't a fan of computer generated narration, but they have come, wow, so far. Have really gotten the inflection and the tonality, and it's not a monotonous thing anymore. So that has really also kind of adjusted the whole equation about narration. A lot of authors don't do audiobooks because it's expensive, and computer narration, I think, is going to adjust that. Is it as good as a human narrator? No, but it's darn close. And now the ability to have multiple character voices really opens it up to a new level. You know, when you can have one character have one kind of voice, another character have another kind of voice, that really, really um, changes the whole thing. Well, as you can see here at the cabin, leaves have turned and fallen, and now we're getting ready for our first snowfall. We're gonna have a lot of snow this year, from what I hear from the Farmer's Almanac. I don't know if you ever checked that out, but right. Hey, happy holidays! Welcome to Tom's Cabin. Good to have you with us. I'm your host, Tom McAuliffe, award-winning author and man about town and Christmas lover. And I just wanted to play a little Christmas music. And happy holidays to you. We've got a great show for you. We got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about some new books that are coming out, maybe get your holiday shopping going, and going to talk about the latest in music. A lot of news in books this week. We've got a wonderful interview coming up with a award-winning author, P.A. White, and she's from Michigan originally. And we're going to talk to her about her new book, Until I Come Back for You. We also have news and lots more, including the Barnes and Noble Discovery Prize finalists for 2025. We're going to talk about the finalists and the winner. I've also got a wonderful gift guide for you, so you can choose just the right gift for your reader or the music lover in your life. We got the top five of that. And our good friend Mandy has got a new book out. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about the new audiobooks from Chirp. Yeah. So it's exciting. Well, we always bring you every week a great guest, and this week is no exception. I am super excited to have this young lady on the show. Everybody's talking about her. Everybody's talking about her new book, and that's what you want, right? P.A. White was born and raised in Michigan, and she points to her hand. That's where most people from Michigan. I'm from over here in Lansing. I'm from here in Port Huron. Um, she still points to her hand to show you where she's from. She left the mitten to join the United States Army, but don't ask her what she did, or she'll have to kill you. But we'll talk about that. She's a recovering policy wonk, having spent the last 25 years as a professional tree hugger in Washington, D.C. We'll talk about that. Today, she's blissfully retired, and she lives in a one-room schoolhouse that was built in the 1800s. Ooh, that sounds very cool. She's got a fat cat named Kevin. I think she's got two cats. We'll talk about that. And now that she's checked off the writing the great American novel off her bucket list, she spends most of her days stalking 1980s bands. She likes 80s music. Why, I have no idea. They stopped making good music in 1975. Um, and when she tells you she's an author, don't believe her. She's lying. She just she's just a chick who had a story stuck in her head and had to get it out. Boy, do I know what that's like. You get these stories inside you, and or maybe family members have shared with you, and you just feel compelled to get those stories out into the world. Um, and the internet's just been blowing up about this book. Here's a for example a review, 5 out of 5 stars, from a reviewer called Cook Bookworm. She says, "quote A wild ride. I highly recommend this book. Um, this was such a good read. It's atmospheric and funny and compelling and unpredictable. I loved getting to know these characters so much that I finished the whole thing in just 2 sittings. Couldn't put it down. My favorite books are ones that completely immerse you in the time and location of the story, and this book does that for me. Looking forward to more by this author." So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to bring you our new guest. Let's welcome P.A. White. Well, we always bring you every week a great guest, and this week is no exception. I am super excited to have this young lady on the show. Everybody's talking about her. Everybody's talking about her new book, and that's what you want, right? P.A. White was born and raised in Michigan, and she points to her hand. That's where most people from Michigan. I'm from over here in Lansing. I'm from here in Port Huron. Um, she still points to her hand to show you where she's from. She left the mitten to join the United States Army, but don't ask her what she did, or she'll have to kill you. But we'll talk about that. She's a recovering policy wonk, having spent the last 25 years as a professional tree hugger in Washington, D.C. We'll talk about that. Today, she's blissfully retired, and she lives in a one-room schoolhouse that was built in the 1800s. Ooh, that sounds very cool. She's got a fat cat named Kevin. I think she's got two cats. We'll talk about that. And now that she's checked off the writing the great American novel off her bucket list, she spends most of her days stalking 1980s bands. She likes 80s music. Why, I have no idea. They stopped making good music in 1975. And when she tells you she's an author, don't believe her. She's lying. She's just a chick who had a story stuck in her head and had to get it out. Boy, do I know what that's like. You get these stories inside you, and or maybe family members have shared with you, and you just feel compelled to get those stories out into the world. And the internet's just been blowing up about this book. Here's for example, a review, 5 out of 5 stars, from a reviewer called Cook Bookworm. She says, quote, "A wild ride. I highly recommend this book. This was such a good read. It's atmospheric and funny and compelling and unpredictable. I loved getting to know these characters so much that I finished the whole thing in just 2 sittings. Couldn't put it down. My favorite books are ones that completely immerse you in the time and location of the story, and this book does that for me. Looking forward to more by this author." So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to bring you our new guest. Let's welcome P.A. White. All right, well, I'm super excited to have my next guest on the show as we move forward here. She's an up-and-coming author. Everybody's talking about her new book. I got to get some tips from her. How about welcome to the show, P.A. White, otherwise known as Trish.
Hi.
Welcome. I love your hair, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool. Well, we've talked a little bit about your background and such already, but I wanted to ask a couple things. One, so you live in a farmhouse from the 1800s,
A schoolhouse.
a schoolhouse. Tell us a little bit about that. How'd you wind up there?
I just it's a long story, but I lived in DC most of my adult life. I grew up in Michigan, but I went to school and then wound up in Washington DC. And then with COVID and the riots and everything, I had just had enough, and decided to come back to Michigan just to wait for everything to settle down, and it never really settled down. Anyway, I was staying with my mom at the family farm where the book takes place, and just needed to get my own place. And I was just looking online at, what are the real estate websites called? I can't remember which one I was using.
Trulia, Zillow, all that stuff.
Yeah, it was Zillow or something like that. And anyway, the schoolhouse, it's in the thumb of Michigan, which is pretty far, about 4 hours from where I grew up. But the schoolhouse came up, and I just kind of thought, wow, that's something I probably always thought I would love to live in, like an old schoolhouse or an old church or something like that. But I never thought I'd have the chance to do it. But here it was. So I drove all the way out here and took a look at it. And it was everything I thought it would be. It's, somebody else made it into a home, probably in the 80s, maybe. They put in a little galley kitchen and a bathroom and stuff. But, it still has all the original wood. It still has the original chalkboards. It still has you can ring the bell. And I just really fell in love with it. And so I looked at other places, but every time I went to another place, I would say, do you love this as much as the schoolhouse? And I just didn't. So I ended up I ended up here. So I live in the thumb of Michigan in an old schoolhouse that was built in 1871. I keep it written down so I remember.
1871. Amazing, amazing. I wonder if you could get a grant for rehabbing that house because
Well,
it's
it's already
part of history.
that's redoing, making it into a livable space is already done. That was done for me. I have tried to look into, I asked when I was buying it if it was a designated historical property, because then you have to worry about, the paint and the roof and all that kind of stuff. And it has not been designated, but I've checked with like the local library because I want to know more about the school and see if they have any pictures from, the old days with, students and teachers out front. Haven't found that yet, but I did learn that the property was donated after there were big fires here in the mid 1800s that just wiped out everything, forests and fields and all that kind of stuff, which took out the schools. And so wealthy man, wealthy for his time, donated this. It's really just a half acre for one of the schools to be rebuilt. So that's why it was built in 1871. And it's still the original half acre, and now has a small orchard on it. By orchard, I mean 6 or 7 apple trees, 3 or 4 pear trees, and I've put in some peach trees and berries and that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really neat place to live. I love it here.
You think there's a book there?
It's a great place to write, but I'm not so much inspired by the story of the schoolhouse as I am, because I'm into, kind of darker, creepier things. Not that school and children can't be dark and creepy, believe me. But I had not thought of that, and I haven't been inspired by it in that way. To me, it's just my home now. So
now, before we get to other stuff, let's get to the important stuff. Tell me about your fur babies, Kevin and second one.
Kevin
Apple?
is asleep right now.
And
She's
Apple?
asleep right now.
Apple is the
I'm
second
sorry.
one. You have Kevin,
No,
Apple,
Minnie.
Minnie. Yes.
Yep. And
Well,
Minnie, trying to see where Minnie is, so if she would come over and visit, but I don't see her anywhere.
we have
Minnie is named Minnie Quay, and she's named after a local ghost. There's a ghost story from the town that's closest to me. Again, from the 1800s, a young girl was in love with a sailor, and her parents wouldn't allow the relationship, so she was heartbroken. And to make matters worse, he went off and got himself killed, died in some shipwreck or something. So she, being the dramatic, 15-year-old or something, walked out into, walked outside in the freezing cold, and she only had on like a white gown or something. So imagine, something spooky. And she walked and drowned herself in Lake Huron here. And so her name was Minnie Quay. And it's just one of those ghost stories that keeps going and going and going. And you can go visit her grave here. You can still visit the pier that she jumped off of to drown herself. And the cool thing is, when you go to visit her grave, on her headstone, people leave little gifts. And there are 2 different sort of mythos. One is you have to leave her a gift when you come to visit the headstone. And if you steal something from her headstone, which I don't know why anybody would, but people leave, some valuable things there. But if you steal something, she will haunt you. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, if you are of pure heart and you put your ear to her headstone, she will tell you whether she committed suicide or was murdered. So when Minnie came to see me like 2 years ago, she's a feral cat. I just decided to name her after Minnie Quay.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I put my ear to the headstone, I hear the Rolling Stones. So,
You can't always get what you want, right?
amen. Well, that's a fascinating story.
Isn't that cool?
Speaking of fascinating stories, what's your secret? Everybody's talking about your book, man. Until I Come Back for You, set in the 1970s, kind of semi-autobiographical. Tell us about it.
Well, I've now discovered that it's called autofiction, so part autobiography, part fiction. I took a true story from my childhood and fictionalized it, basically. It starts out, innocently enough. My sister and I were horse girls, and I
What?
was
You were what?
horse girls. Horse
Ah,
girls.
riding horses.
Yep. Oh, here's Minnie. Oh,
Hello, baby.
here she
Oh.
is. Um, so my sister and I were horse girls, but we didn't have nice stuff. And we had a neighbor who was kind of a creepy guy. He's kind of like the Boo Radley type, but he had a lot of really nice stuff. And I thought, in my 7-year-old mind, I thought he had more than he needed. So I decided to relieve him of some of his very nice horse tack. And my sister and I kind of got caught. And in real life, we managed to kind of weasel out of trouble. And in the book, we do not. So I took that true story and I just imagined what would have happened if we hadn't gotten out of that, And so I just kind of let that roll. But most of the book is true family anecdotes, how my family went from Detroit to the country, how my city slicker parents with 5 kids got their way to an old farmhouse on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. And, so it's a little bit of that, fish out of water, like how funny it is when city people move to the country. Always tons of laughs. So, and that a little bit of coming of age, but it's not really coming of age because it all happens within, just a couple of years. And pretty much the whole thing takes place within a country mile. And it's kind of, you think small towns are quiet and that nothing ever happens there. So this kind of flips that. If you come from a small town, then you know better. But if you're looking at small towns from the outside, I mean, think about it. All movies and TV shows are about New York City and LA and, the big places. And if you grow up in a small town, you think, well, we don't even really exist. Or, nobody knows what happens here. And nothing interesting happens here, but interesting things do happen there. Just nobody knows about it. So I tell you a little bit about small town stuff.
And would you say it's more of a thriller novel or a mystery? Or I love, just so you know, I am doing the same thing, kind of bending the genres, where we take a little bit of nonfiction. Like, for example, I did a book called Deep Water Oil about the Deepwater Horizon accident.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what happened after the fire broke out and everything like that, but we extrapolate. And so we put those real world things together with some of our ideas and come up with a compelling story. Well, that book has been very well received. Tell me, you won the International Firebird Book Award. Tell us about that.
Well, so far it's won 3 awards. I started with Reader's Favorite because it's just a rating system. So I just submitted it for that and got 5 stars and a really great review. And that, as a writer is always, when somebody gets your book and you can tell that they actually read it from the review and they picked up on the themes and that kind of stuff. So I was really inspired by that and submitted it for a couple other things. And so, I got the Firebird and Literary Titan so far.
Yeah, and the reviews on Amazon there are really stellar. So that's congratulations on that. Also, the other thing I found interesting is your trailers, your video trailers. Tell us about how you came up with those and what they're all about.
Well, I guess because I'm a sucker for a good movie trailer. I almost, when a movie trailer is really good, you don't even need to see the movie because you've seen the whole, the story arc and all that stuff. I love them because they're like mini movies, but then if I really wanted to see that movie, it's like, oh, now I know too much and I won't be able to like fully experience it. So I have that love-hate relationship with movie trailers. And when I was working on and finishing this book and pushing it through the publishing process. And, independent authors, we have to do all of our own marketing and we don't know what we're doing. So I just started goofing around with a software, and I think it was Canva, which is pretty affordable and pretty intuitive. It's easy for even a not very creative person like me. And I just kind of let it flow. And I was just picking, they have templates and all this stuff that you can pick from. So I just, over the course of a couple of days, put together the first one. And I would like beta test it with some people like, does this creep you out? People who have read the book and people who haven't read the book, like, does this creep you out? And they're like, ooh, that giggle at the end, just what does that even mean? I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want you to be sufficiently creeped out and curious about what that means. So I made the first one and it did really well. And then I made a second one that's really simple. It's only like 4 pictures with some creepy music in the back. And I just took the blurb from the back of the book and just put one of those sentences on each of the things. So it just kind of pulls you through that grabber. And if it works right.
You did all that stuff.
Amazing. Yeah, it's easy.
So
if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, yeah, people charging $500 to do that sort of thing. Save yourself some money.
Exactly. I get so many, we all get a ton of spam, but I get a lot of spam that says, ooh, what would really help your book if you had some trailers or a trailer. So I bounce right back with, oh, really? You think so? Check these out. And then they just shut right up. So.
Well, I was also impressed with the fact that you really support charities through your work, and in particular, the North Horse Rescue. You're a horsewoman. You love horses, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're special.
Well, I had the idea. Go ahead.
They're special animals, that's for sure.
They are. They're magic. And it's obviously the book, because it's about my sister and I being horse girls. And I talk a lot about, what it's like being a little girl, learning how, and we learned from scratch. Like, we didn't have coaches or trainers or anything. We had just grade horses. We had to, like, my sister had to break her horse because he was maybe like a 2 or 3 year old when she got him, and he had not been broken for saddle yet. And we didn't know what we were doing. And I say in the book, everything we knew about, we learned from watching Western movies with my dad. So, it was like the John Wayne movies where you put a blanket on them first and let them buck until they don't mind that. And then you put a saddle on and then you lean on them. And all. So she just did that. And she was a little girl and I was watching her do that. And I say in the book that, watching my big sister go through that learning process and learning confidence from doing that. Like, it's a big deal for a little girl to take an animal that could squash her.
For sure.
And, and learn how to not break it, but learn how to work together with it. And I say, she completely changed over, that month or so. And she was even taller and her voice was like, everything was different. And how for little girls to be around horses and learn that confidence and learn not how to control them or rule them or master them, but how to work together with this animal and how to ask them to do amazing things for you and the reward that comes with it. And when my contention is when little girls learn that at a very young age, there's almost nothing that they can't do because that confidence sticks with you. Like, it seems impossible, but if somebody believes that you can, you'll try it. And when you do it, you think, wow, okay. So then when you get a job and you have a jerk for a boss or, somebody's bothering you or something, there's nothing that you can't overcome because you've already done that as a small child. And you just learn how, different ways to overcome challenges in your life.
My niece also she was like 12, and I would amaze, you've got this 2-ton horse and you got this little tiny girl, 12 years old, leading the 2-ton horse around, then jumping up on it and riding it around. It's pretty amazing. So until I come back for you, a lot of kudos and things going on there. Tell me what is next. Are you working on a new book? A follow-up?
Not a follow up so much. If you read the book, you'll know why there's not really much to go on from there. But I do have a couple other ideas, which, you know, when this was a bucket list thing for me. I've worked on it for not quite 20 years, but it was a long time. And I'm going to let you in on something that literally nobody knows but me.
Okay.
Let me step back. I started this, like I said, like, you know, what was it? I don't know, 2008 maybe. Have you ever heard of NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month?
Of course. Yeah, sure.
Right. So that's how I started this, because I had the idea in my head, and I kind of liked the idea of that. Take 1 month, just push yourself through, no editing, no second guessing, just get everything out. And then you can start picking at it, but you'll at least know what you have and what you don't.
That's
So
so true. Until it's on the page, there's nothing to talk about.
exactly. You don't even, like, all the thoughts in your mind that are holding you back from doing it, shut them up and let everything just come out, and then be critical, and then, put things in its place. But so I did NaNoWriMo in, I think, 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in there. I got everything out, and I did the 50,000 words. And, you realize once you finish that process, you do not have a book. Anybody who goes through that and has a book is a liar. What you have is, like, just mental and creative vomit, and you have to try to make sense of it from there. But I at least got that part done.
But
So now that
you're so exactly right. And just to key in on that, real big difference between a manuscript and a book.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And there, you got to love all parts of the process. And I really did love that part of the process. Like, sometimes I was just, and just stupid stuff was coming out. But once you allow a little bit of stupid stuff to come out, then really clever stuff comes out. You can't tell the difference at that point in the process, but just, get it all out. And I'm sure there were some times where I was watching football or, TV or something while I was going, and I probably accidentally, typed some of that stuff in because it was just, in my head. Anyway, all of that to say, because people have been asking me what's next, and I had a couple ideas, but I just thought, this was really all I wanted to do, was just, write the novel, get it out. That's tough enough to do.
And that's fine. A lot of people feel this pressure to constantly produce all these. I mean, I got 34 books. I'm addicted. I can't stop. But there is something to be said for, hey, this is my story. This is what I wanted to share with the world. Now leave me alone.
And that's kind of where I've been. And it's been, it just came out in April, and it's been so fun doing author events, signings, and readings, and getting to meet people who have read it, and working with book clubs that have read it. I have one tomorrow. There's a book club in Midland, Michigan, that read it for their October selection. And so I'm going to Zoom in and talk to them. Anyway, that's just been fun. And so when in your little brain, when you're thinking about, why do I want to write a book and what do I think that's going to be like? This is exactly what I was hoping for. So if I just said, that's it, I can check that off my list. It's done. And I got to act like an author for a little while.
You are.
I'm happy right here.
You are an author, and a good one. Were you surprised at all at the response?
Yes. I'm still surprised, but immediately happy when I get, like I said, responses from readers that hit the mark of what I was intending. When I was editing and re-editing, I was scraping through to make sure that I could curate the emotional and like the emotional response from readers. I would test it on myself, like, does this tension work right here? Am I moving too quickly? Am I moving too slowly? And I intentionally put a few pauses in there, like there's a really, really, really tense scene where the reader is going to, like, their stomach is going to be tight, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I just shut the door on that for a second, and just move completely to something else. Because, and you see that in movies, you see it in TV shows where you pull that tension up, and then you say, wait a minute, because you first of all kind of want to give the reader a break, but you also want them to just sort of simmer in that tension for a while. So when I get feedback from readers, sometimes people will text me and say, oh, like I had a friend, she said, oh, I hate that Ronnie Clark. Oh, I just hate him so much. I was like, good. I want you to hate him. I want you to hate him. And, I was scared at this part, or this really creeped me out, or I knew exactly what that felt like. And I didn't realize at the time when I was writing it how the 1970s nostalgia was going to really work for a lot of people. Now, if young people read it, someone in their 20s or 30s, they're going to, they don't get it. What was it like? You only had 3 TV channels? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense to them. But if I'm, somewhere in my age, I'm 57. So people really appreciate that. It's like sinking into a warm bath. Like, oh, I remember what that felt like. And I remember what that was like. And I remember, hearing my parents talking about, everybody watched Watergate that year and all that kind of stuff. So I just did that because that was naturally where my story sat. Um, and I was meticulous about researching it to make sure that I had it right. I didn't just throw Watergate in there. I made sure that it was the right date, when it was on TV and all that kind of stuff. Just because I didn't want anyone to say, oh, that wasn't there. And I was also meticulous about the science stuff, like I would email my biologist friends and say, okay, I have a dead body in the woods in Michigan between this month and this month. Which animals would be eating his body at that time? Because I wanted to be accurate about it. I didn't want a biologist to read it and go, those aren't there, or they wouldn't have been there at that, that month or whatever. So all of that to say, it is so enjoyable. It's not so much surprising anymore, but it's so rewarding to hear from readers when something has moved them or grabbed them or creep them out. I love that.
I know that the book is available on Amazon, Kindle. It's available as an ebook as well.
Yes.
And do you have any plans to make it into an audiobook?
I am getting that question a lot too, and I'm exploring the options. As you probably know, it's very expensive. And then like AI is offering a lot of stuff right now. And I know people really hate AI, and I don't want, someone to miss out on a job because I chose the cheap AI option. And AI is probably not going to do as good of a job with, inflections. They're not going to do as good a job as a human. So I'm looking into it and trying to find an affordable option for me.
Show me your ring.
Oh, it's just a horseshoe.
I
Big
see that.
surprise.
It's a horseshoe. Yeah. Way cool. Way cool.
Yeah, it was my dad's, so I like to wear it.
Oh. Well, if you do a second book, will you please come and talk to us about it? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I forgot to say, what my little secret that only I know, the reason I was telling you about, like, when I started this book with NaNoWriMo, guess what's coming up? November. And while NaNoWriMo isn't around anymore, there are a couple other, websites and that kind of stuff who kind of piled on and said, hey, we'll replace it. So I am doing it for the month of November. I'm going to take one of my two ideas and I'm going to plow through it and get started on it for the month of November, because I think having that kind of push and discipline and accountability, like, can I get to 50,000 words again? And if what I have isn't great, I think it's a great idea, but if it's not, I'll know. And like I said, I already did what I set out to do. If I do something else, then that's just, cherry on top. But
Exactly. And you're like a chef in the kitchen. You're putting a little bit of this in there and a little bit of that in there, and you're stirring it around, and you'll come up. I have a big saying called successive refinement towards perfection. Successive refinement towards perfection. And the main thing that I think a lot of new writers have a problem is getting it down on paper, because then I can edit, I can move paragraphs around, I can say, oh, I left this out, I got to put this in, and all those kinds of things. Speaking of which, so did you edit this yourself, or did you have somebody come in and help you with layout, design, editing, that kind of thing?
I definitely had somebody come in and do that. I mean, you do your own, editing, which is that super duper critical voice, like, oh, this is too long, this is too short, I'm missing this. So I did that, several times. And then when I finally got to the point where I said, this is enough, because I'm sure you also know this, if we don't stop ourselves, we can keep picking at something forever. And I probably did do that for too long. But anyway, I have a friend that I worked with in Washington, D.C., and she is a professional editor now. So I had her do the first round of editing. And then I found a really great hybrid publisher, Luminaire Press, because I know that we can do all of that stuff ourselves. You can do the formatting and you can design your own cover and all that kind of stuff. But I am lazy above all else. I am very lazy. And I said, I can either take the time to learn to do it myself, which could be a swing and a miss. I could hire individual professionals, like, you can please design my cover and here's money for that. Here's line editing and copy editing and all that stuff, and you can pay it. So I found a really great publisher that has like a menu style. This is what you need. You buy a package, they come back with you with a proposal. They read your book first to see if you're actually ready to start that. And if they think it needs a lot more work, they'll say, go back and, do some more work. So
you say what the name of the publisher is?
Luminaire Press.
Okay. And you would say that they're very supportive of authors.
They were so great to work with because, pardon my French, but they don't blow sunshine up your ass. Like I said, when you give them your manuscript, they read it, and they're professionals. They've all worked in publishing for a long time, and they'll give you feedback, and they'll let you know. My first editor, the friend from DC, was I'm not afraid to say she was critical. She wanted to see a lot more detail and a lot more, I don't know, she just wanted it to be a lot more like a normal novel. And
we don't need normal anymore. We need abnormal.
Well, I'm a very sparse writer. I don't like a lot of detail. If I'm reading a book if it takes you 2 pages to tell me that you walked across the room, I'm going to be doing this. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, a lot of people like that, but I don't talk that way. I don't write that way. And if somebody else writes that way, I skim over it.
I totally agree with you. And moreover, it precludes, not the right word, but it walls off allowing the reader to fill in one of the things that's great about books is our imaginations fill in the gaps.
Yes.
When you I understand show don't tell, I get it, but
yep.
But when you do everything, it precludes the reader from being able to fill in those gaps. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think if I were writing a script and I had to give like stage direction, like so-and-so rolled their eyes, or, they moved their foot or scratched their ear, that's totally different. But, one of the strengths of my story is there's, a bad guy, and he's the the monster in the story. And I always think, the monster in your head is scarier than anything I could ever write. So all I have to do is tell you there's a monster, and your brain goes beep, and it makes up what you're already scared of. So I can tell you that he was, tall and skinny, and he had a gold tooth, and his hat was too big. But I don't want to tell you every single thing about him, because you have that in your head. You have that caricature. You have that monster already, and he's already scary. So I just let you, and the same with, the little girls that, me, I don't tell you what color my eyes were. I don't tell you how tall I was. I don't tell you what I was wearing. You know that I have pigtails, and, that's about it. And you can fill out the rest. You know what a little girl with pigtails looks like. And it allows me to move you through the story faster. Your brain is, like you said, your brain is already filling all that other stuff in. And your brain is also, if I'm doing my job right, your brain is screaming for that story. What next? What next? What next? What next? So my job is to get you to that next thing, make sure you're interested and curious about what's happening next. But I don't have to spend a ton of time telling you what the house looked like and what my bedroom looked like and all that stuff. So,
And I also think that it allows the reader to become invested in the story by filling in those things. That's very, very interesting. Well, hey, I always ask all of my guests this one question so that everybody can see kind of what the response is. If there was one thing that you wish readers knew about your new book, what would it be?
That it's based on a true story. I do have that on the cover, and I notice when I do author events that catches people's attention quite a bit. That's something that I know that I love. I love reading something that's based on a true story, but I didn't get until I was, marketing this and meeting with readers that's something that they get really excited about. So, and when you read it, another thing I get a lot is, well, that couldn't be true. And what parts of this are true? And that story couldn't be true. But a lot of the stories in the book that are 100% true are a little bit crazy, but that's why I added them in there. Like, I have some stories about my mom and her courage and just her sort of pluck. She was a woman with pluck. And my story doesn't make any sense unless you know her story. So I have a lot of anecdotes in there about her that, kind of build that, and you kind of see. And I get a lot of people who are like, well, that wasn't true, right? That couldn't be true. And I'm like, yeah, that was true. So I would want people to know that this is not a memoir. This is not, even though there are children in the book, this is not a children's book or a children's story. And that this kind of stuff really does happen in small towns. Small towns are full of stuff.
Well, P.A. White, Trish, author of Until I Come Back for You, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, our good friends over at Barnes and Noble have come out with their Discover Prize finalists and named a winner for 2025. The Discover Prize finalists, Barnes and Noble booksellers from across the country, read hundreds of new authors this year and their debut novels. Today, they're announcing the 6 finalists for the 2025 Discovery Prize, and they've also named a winner. These are extraordinary, indelible, and surprising stories about beginnings and endings, coming of age, and the secrets we keep and the lessons we learn. The 2025 Discovery Prize winners, I always love when, good books are honored with prizes and such. Let's take a look at the top finalists. Tilt, a novel by Emma Pate. What would you do if the world started crumbling around you? Well, it's almost like happening now. What would you do if the world started crumbling around you? Emma Pate explores humanity, desperation, love, and survival in this breathtaking read. Tilt, a novel by Emma Pate, a Discovery Prize finalist with Barnes and Noble. Moving forward, next book as a finalist is The Artist and the Feast by Lucy Steeds. Get enamored by the landscapes of Providence in this deliciously crafted, slow burn romance between a curious journalist and the unexpected artist who emerges from the kitchen. The Artist and the Feast by Lucy Steeds, a finalist for the Barnes and Noble Discovery Prize for 2025. Moving forward, another book that's in the hunt is Great Black Hope, a novel by Rob Franklin. Urgent, unique, and utterly thrilling, this story about identity, home, and hope is a triumphant introduction to a fresh voice in fiction. Wow. to be nominated for a big prize like this right out of the box in your debut novel, that's something. That's very cool. Okay, next up, we've got Maggie, or A Man and a Woman Walk into a Bar. I love it. Maggie, or A Man and a Woman Walk into a Bar by Katie Yee. When life throws lemons, one woman chooses to find humor in heartbreak. Witty, full of heart, and beautiful poetic pose help this book achieve greatness with a side of Chinese folklore. This refreshing novel is perfect for fans of short literary fiction. Coming in there as a finalist for the Discovery Book Awards, Maggie, or A Man and Woman Walk into a Bar. Okay, we keep going, and we have Lonely Crowds, a novel by Stephanie Wamberg. I hope I'm saying that right. Lonely Crowds is a book about friendship, ambition, art, and desire. This is a thought provoking exploration that captures the ups and downs of a lifelong bond between two women. The tethered love, obsession, and the pressures of coming of age. This is a heart stirring meditation on the passage of time. Lonely Crowds, a novel by Stephanie Wamberg. Rounding out the finalists, we have Kaplan's Plot by Jason Diamond. Buried secrets, healing, reflection. When his business fails, Elijah returns home where past and present collide and a riveting family mystery unravels. Delving into generational trauma and Chicago's dark history, this is a suspenseful and haunting read. I can't wait. Kaplan's Plot by Jason Diamond, coming in at number 5. And we have the winner. Want to know who it is? I'm not going to tell you. No, I will. Big congratulations going out to Katie Yee for winning the B&N Discovery Prize for 2025 with Maggie, or A Man and Woman Walk into a Bar by Katie Yee. Congratulations, outstanding. You're walking away with the B&N Discovery Prize for 2025. Lots of great new authors there. Congratulations to all of them. At this special time of year, you look for something extra special. You look for something that's truly unique and of special quality. Some American book manufacturers could take a lesson from the folks across the pond. I have found a wonderful, wonderful resource for high quality, what I call luxury books. When looking for a luxurious edition of your favorite title, you should check out the Folio Society. Originally from London, Folio is an employee-owned independent publisher that has thrilled and delighted readers since 1947. Today, from their workspace in the heart of London's vibrant Shade Thames Art District, they continued that tradition by crafting exquisite, illustrated editions for book lovers of all ages. I swear, these are some of the most gorgeous books you'll ever see. These are books that are designed to last a lifetime, actually several lifetimes, to be read, to be reread, and passed down through the generations. A sustainable treasury of important and illuminating literature. Folio publishes classic books that have changed the world, books that entertain us, books that blow our minds, books that have stitched themselves into the very fabric of who we are as people. Which is why it is very obvious to this reader that every Folio book is a labor of love, expertise, and frankly, obsession. I ordered 2 editions and it was not cheap, but they will last for generations. Folio's team of editors, designers, and artisans are from around the world, and they do whatever it takes to give each title everything it deserves, from an outstanding intellectual firepower to extraordinary craftsmanship. These are literary works of art. That's what I consider them to be. They're available exclusively from Folio through their website. And for book lovers around the world, every book they create is a miniature work of art. They take pride in every single page, as well they should. As a publisher at the heart of the golden age of book design, they constantly push the boundaries of bookmaking and creative possibilities. Folio's individually designed and illustrated hardback editions are often years in the making. From scouring the globe for the perfect illustrator to selecting just the right typeface, paper, and binding materials, each book draws on the skills, experience, and passion of their editors, art directors, designers, and production controllers, all of which are world class. Many editions include traditional bookmaking and printing techniques. This pursuit of excellence by the Society has led to successful relationships with esteemed literary estates from world-renowned authors, working closely with Tolkien, Fleming, Christie, and authors like Stephen King, Mary Beard, Marjorie Blackman, and George R.R. Martin. They have created the most beautiful illustrated edition of these authors' work, many of which have become Folio bestsellers. You ever see those books in the library or maybe a rare bookshop where the book cover is kind of engraved leather and stuff? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Folio editions have also won prestigious book awards, including the V&A Book Illustration Award, the British Book Production and Design Award, and the gold medal from the Association of Illustrators in the World Illustration Awards. Designed for longevity, delight, and to build the world's best collectors' libraries, Folio editions are above all crafted for the ultimate reading experience. The Folio Society brings together a worldwide community of book creators and lovers who appreciate the quality and craftsmanship of fine editions. They have been a haven for the eclectic and open-minded reader, providing real depth both within and across genres. For fine book collectors, gift buyers, and genre fans, the Folio Society's beautiful editions are world-class. Of course, the excellent service is also part of the customer experience. I asked 2 or 3 questions, and they were back to me like within a couple of hours. And when we talk about costs, So you look at an average hardback, it's 29, 39 bucks or something like that, sometimes 49. Here you're looking at maybe 2.99, something like that. The Folio Society publishes beautiful books that are planet friendly, books that support artisan industries and offer opportunities to illustrators and that bring joy to their readers. Folio also supports a number of charities throughout the year, giving donations in time individually and as a company. And this Christmas, if you're searching for a special keepsake book that will last lifetimes, you really ought to take a look at the Folio Society. Well, it's that time again, your favorite time. We've been hard at work in the lab coming up with some new and exciting book promos. Let's take a look. Well, not to be outdone, we're going to give the book news people a little time off here for spend some time shopping and be with their families. But here are my top 10 most popular Christmas books of all time. This list of books is for children and adults and breaks down the most famous Christmas books you'll want to squeeze in during this short holiday season. And this is in no particular order, right? These are the top 10 most popular Christmas books. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Gotta be. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Boy, do I remember that one. Miracle on 34th Street by Valentine Davies. The Night Before Christmas by Clement Moore. The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by E.T.A. Hoffman. Another book on the top 10 Christmas books of all time list, The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg. Also on the list, The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. And I actually have read this one Day in December by Jose Silva. Also on the list, Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. I haven't heard of that one. I wonder if that's the same author, world famous thriller and mystery author John Grisham. Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. And then finally, rounding out the list of top 10 most popular Christmas books, Winter Street by Ellen Hilderbrand. There they are, the 10 most popular Christmas books of all time, according to yours truly. If you've got some that we've forgotten or that you think we should add, please send us an email, bookinfo@nextstopparadise.com. Happy holidays. And let's not forget about audiobooks. also going to talk about the new audiobooks from Chirp. You know, everybody goes to Audible. Audible's a great site, but there are other avenues and outlets for audiobooks. And boy, audiobooks have really, really taken off. They are becoming more and more popular. You know, people can listen to them on the way to work, when they're running with a Walkman or whatever. Um, I wasn't a fan of computer generated narration, but they have come, wow, so far. Have really gotten the inflection and the tonality, and it's not a monotonous thing anymore. So that has really also kind of adjusted the whole equation about narration. A lot of authors don't do audiobooks because it's expensive, and computer narration, I think, is going to adjust that. Is it as good as a human narrator? No, but it's darn close. And now the ability to have multiple character voices really opens it up to a new level. You know, when you can have one character have one kind of voice, another character have another kind of voice, that really um, changes the whole thing. Well, lots of new audiobooks going on. Love audiobooks, and in particular in the sci-fi genre. This is from our good friends over at Chirp, providing excellent audiobooks. And let's just take a look at the top five. Is it five? Yeah, top four. Top four sci-fi audiobooks coming from the good folks at Chirp. How about The Visitors, written by Clifford Smenek? It's narrated by Gary Noon, and it's penned by a multiple Hugo and Nebula award-winning author, and he was named a SFWA Grandmaster. It's a classic sci-fi tale that finds Jerry Conklin struggling to understand a recent alien incursion after he is abducted and subsequently returned to Earth by mysterious beings. Ooh. One of the most engaging novels of alien invasion ever written, said the Library Journal. That's pretty heavy praise. One of the most engaging novels of alien invasion ever written, said the Library Journal. The Visitors, written by Clifford Smenek. Also coming in, how about a new audiobook called Wool, written by Hugh Howley and narrated by Eduardo Bellanini. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. This generally terrifying New York Times bestsellers has over 119 five-star ratings on Goodreads. 119,000 five-star ratings on Goodreads. And it inspired a hit TV show on Apple TV. In a bleak future, inhospitable Earth forces survivors to live in a single silo. Ernest Cline, author of Ready Player One, said, "This is a new science fiction classic." And it's also narrated by audiophile Golden Voice. So pretty exciting. Wool, written by Hugh Howley. Also coming in for Chip Audio, new audio books over there at Chip. How about Consider Phoebus? Ian Banks, narrated by Peter Kenny. It's got over 28,000 five-star ratings on Goodreads. It's a space opera from a New York Times bestselling author and is a compelling start to an epic series. This is going to be, I guess, the first in a series. In the throes of a bitter intergalactic war, shape-shifting mercenary Horza is saved from execution and thrust into a dangerous mission on a barren world. Banks is a phenomenon, said Nebula award-winning author William Gibson. That looks very interesting. Consider Phoebus, a great science fiction new audiobook. And rounding out the offerings from Chip, how about The Dawn Hounds by Sasha Stonerich, narrated by Anna Coddington, a wonderful science fiction audiobook. Quote, intensely humane and beautiful, said Tasman Muir of the New York Times. Inspired by the Polynesian culture and Asian folklore, this audiobook follows a thief turned cop. Yak Jin Hawk is murdered by her co-workers and then brought back to life. Quote, I love it, unquote, says the New York Times bestselling author Rebecca Roanhorse. That looks interesting as well. The Dawn Hounds. And there they are. Some great ideas for last minute gifts from Chirp Audiobooks. We always like to acknowledge excellence on the show. And multi-genre indie author Mandy Jo Squires, who has created a wonderful group called Creative Slingers of Ink. It's such a vibrant community. It's championing, encouraging indie and small press authors. She has a new book out with the pen name of Mandy Jo. She is a multi-genre author, crafting stories across fitness, fantasy, time travel, and historical fiction. With 3 published books and more on the way, her upcoming ventures include mystery, paranormal, and fantasy. As the founder of Creative Slingers of Ink, love that name, she sparks creativity across all types of writing and builds bridges between indie authors and eager readers. I actually, she sets up these book signings and little book festivals at these different locations in Michigan and now South Carolina. And I was honored to be invited to one of them in Michigan. And boy, we had a great time, sold some books, met some great people. She's got a couple of novels out that intrigue me that I'm going to take a look at. The first one is A Stormy Travel Through Time. And the bio on it was, Henrich and Gustav are 2 travelers headed for America. They board their ship but have no idea what their adventure will actually be. Who will they meet along the way? Do they get back to their ship? Do they make it to America? We're going to find out in A Stormy Travel Through Time from Mandy Jo. Another book she's got, I think this is the newer one. We're going to ask her to be on the show. Armamarath, the Evil Witch's Daughter. A kingdom is in the middle of Paskar Island, which is in the middle of the Caridin Sea. The Grand Wizard of the kingdom has died. Who takes over? Armamarath is a witch that grew up without her parents. They were alive, but both had abandoned her at the castle of the Grand Wizard of the kingdom. It's an action-packed mythical fantasy that is full of twists, revenge, dragons, and more. So not only is she helping other authors with the wonderful Creative Slingers of Ink, don't you love that? She's doing it to it with her own books. When not crafting stories, Mandy Jo enjoys cooking and discovering new restaurants. And she's got a special love for barbecue, as do I. She's a memory catcher through photography, an explorer at heart with a curiosity of hidden gems. Originally from Michigan, she is a self-confessed Hallmark movie enthusiast. She now shares 3 passions with her husband in their new home state of South Carolina. We hope to have her on the show here in the near future. You can visit her online at www.mandyjo.us, and you can visit the authors organization Creative Slingers of Ink at www.creativeslingers.org. creativeslingersofink.com. Well, congratulations to Mandy Jo on the new books. We hope to have her on the show sometime in the near future. So we always try to look for new books and tell you about new books so that you can put them on your list and be ready for when they come out. I'm a big fan of this next author, and we'll talk about him during our nonfiction special, which is coming up. Andrew Ross Sorkin. He wrote the book Too Big to Fail. Let's see what Lindsay Powers over at Amazon, she's one of the Amazon editors that picks the best books. She says, quote, "You don't have to be interested in the stock market to be fascinated and horrified by this tale of a handful of movers and shakers who made stacks of cash and then blew it all, taking America's economy down the drain with them." Yeah. 1929 by Andrew Ross Sorkin. It's a new book. It's been named the most anticipated book by the New York Times Book Review, by Time Magazine, Washington Post, Associated Press, Town and Country, New York Post, and lots more. This guy's popular. 1929 is from the best-selling author of Too Big to Fail. From the best-selling author of Too Big to Fail, this definitive history of the 2008 banking crisis was very popular. Now is this new book, and comes a riveting narrative of the most infamous stock market crash in history, one with ripple effects that still shape our society today. In 1929, the world watched in shock as the unstoppable Wall Street bull market went into free fall, wiping out fortunes and igniting a depression that would reshape a whole generation. But behind the flashing ticker tapes and panicked traders, another drama unfolded. One of visionaries and fraudsters, titans and dreamers, euphoria and ruin. With unparalleled access to historical records and newly uncovered documents, New York Times bestselling author Andrew Ross Sorkin takes readers inside the chaos of the crash, behind the scenes of the raging battle between Wall Street and Washington, and the larger-than-life characters whose ambition and naivete in an endless boom led to the disaster. The dizzying heights and brutal lows of this era eerily mirror today's world. Markets are soaring, political tensions are mounting, and the fight over financial influence is playing out once again. 1929 is not just a story about money, however. It's a tale of power, psychology, and the seductive illusion that this time is different. It's not. It's about discarded alarm bells, financiers who fell from grace, and skeptics who saw the crash coming only to be dismissed until it was too late. Hailed as a landmark book, Too Big to Fail reimagined how financial crises are told, and now with the new book, 1929, Sorkin delivers an immersive, electrifying account of the most pivotal market collapse in history, with lessons that remain as urgent as ever. The new book, 1929, is a crucial blueprint for understanding the cycles of speculation, the forces that drive financial upheaval, and the warning signs we ignore at our peril. We'll have a full review coming up. It's now available at Amazon, Kindle, Apple, Barnes & Noble, and your favorite local bookstore. Well, this week, let's give the good folks in the music section a week off. And let's talk about the top 10 Christmas songs of all time. Yeah. What are your favorites? I've got 10 here, but I want to know your favorites. Just send us a little email there, bookinfo@nextstopparadise.com. Let's start out with number 10 of the top 10 Christmas songs of all time. Coming in at number 10, This Christmas by Donny Hathaway from 1970. And number 9, Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Bruce Springsteen. It's from 1982. He's a live version, is actually excellent. Clarence, you been practicing on that saxophone? Yeah. Coming in at number 8 of the top 10 Christmas songs, Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC from 1987. Yeah. And then, of course, who could forget, coming in at number 7, Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano from way back in 1970. Boy, that's a while ago. Coming in at number 6 of the top 10 Christmas songs, your favorite classic, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree with Brenda Lee from way back in 1958. Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, yeah. Who could forget number 5, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. White Christmas by Ben Crosby from way, way back in 1947. It's a wonderful motion picture called The Bells of St. Mary's that song, I believe, was featured in. Number 4, Last Christmas by Wham from 1984. Great song. Number 3, the classic The Christmas Song or Merry Christmas to You by Nat King Cole from 1961. This one's one of my personal favorites, kind of my redneck side showing through. How about number 2 of the top 10 Christmas songs, Christmas in Dixie by Alabama. Coming in at number 1 of the top 10 Christmas songs of all time, let's hear it for All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey, and that was released in 1994. The top 10 Christmas songs of all time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hold a ASCAP BMI mechanical license to be able to play songs on this show. And for some reason, the good powers that be in YouTube do not want to recognize that. I should be able to play up to 30 seconds of each song that I just named. That's the law. But for some reason, that money that I spent on those licenses, but I just wanted to say that, keep it in the Christmas spirit. I'm sure it's just an oversight on your part. But there you go, the top 10 Christmas songs of all time. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Happy holidays. How about the 2025 Tom McAuliffe gift giving guide for the readers and music lovers in your life? Yeah, I have searched. I spent, probably a month searching for just the right gift, not too expensive, something that they wouldn't buy for themselves. And it's exciting. The top gifts for readers and listeners here at Tom's Cabin. The holiday season of gift giving is upon us, and I've gathered together some of the best gifts that I could find as a ardent lover of books and a listener of music. We got everything you need to enjoy your passion for books and music even more in 2026 and beyond. So let's start with the top gifts for readers. And let's start at the back and work our way forward as we always do with our top 10 lists, or top 5 lists in this case. Coming in at number 5, compact rechargeable book light. You know, I've had probably maybe 20 of these little book lights. They never last. They're not well made. This one is. I got one for my birthday, and it is outstanding. Whether you love to read in bed or on airplanes or just like having a little extra light, this compact option makes a great stocking stuffer. It offers 5 levels of brightness. It clips onto the book or can be set on the desk. It sets up by itself or tabletop and folds unto itself, making it super easy to travel with. Just pop it in the side little pocket of your briefcase and away you go. And here's the best part. It's only $11 on Amazon. Yeah. The compact rechargeable book light coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 for our top readers gifts for Christmas 2025 is the rotating bedside bookshelf. The rotating bedside bookshelf. This is pretty unique. If your book lover is anything like me, they're constantly hunting for space to accommodate their ever-growing personal library, especially when it's right near the bed, right? This 360-degree spinning bookshelf feels like it came right out of the bookstore. It's perfect as a nightstand or even as a living room addition. Looks great. Features 2 rows of stackable shelves, 8 compartments, built-in bookends to keep collections as organized as possible. The only thing I wish it had some USB ports so you could plug in some USBs or something like that. That's kind of interesting. It's $104 at Amazon, but it is beautiful. I was very impressed with that. Moving forward, coming in at number 3, how about a audiobook membership as a gift? We all know the feeling of getting so sucked into a book that you don't want to put it down. Luckily, swapping to an audio medium is a hands-free way to read on the go. Whether you're in the car, at the gym, or waiting in line at the supermarket, you can listen to your favorite book. A subscription to Audible or Chirp or one of the other audiobook providers lets your loved one have unlimited listening time to thousands of audiobooks. It's a neat idea. And you can buy a yearly membership, a monthly membership. Number 3, an Audible or audiobook membership. Good idea for gifts for your favorite reader. Moving forward, how about number 2, Book Nook? Ooh, it's kind of a cool looking thing. Check out the picture. Uncommon Goods' ingenious stand is the perfect place to park your book between reading sessions. Plus, it keeps your beverage and other accoutrements handy. The soft, scratch-free feet on the bottom keeps the Nook from sliding on surfaces or scratching them. It's $50, but it's kind of unique, and I was very impressed with it. Number 2, the Book Nook. And the number 1 gift for 2025 for your favorite book reader is the 100 Essential Novels Scratch-Off Chart. Yeah, they've taken 100 of the most essential novels and put them on a huge chart, 16 by 15, something like that. It's an interactive display of all the essential novels that should be on every book lover's list. It's 16 by 12 inches, and it's a scratch-off chart featuring some of the literature's great books like Kerouac's On the Road, McCarthy's Blood Moran, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. It's kind of unique. I think I'm going to order one and put it in my office. The 100 Essential Novels Scratch-Off Chart. Coming in at number 1, it's only $25 on Etsy. Coming in at number 1 for our top reader gifts for 2025. Let's talk about music lovers. Here are my top gift ideas for music lovers. These gifts cater to the wide range of preferences and budgets for the music lover in your life, but we think we can find something special for the music lover in your life that won't break your budget. Whether they're a casual listener or a dedicated audiophile, these gifts are sure to resonate with their passion for music. Coming in at number 5, concert tickets. When was the last time, especially since COVID, when was the last time you were at a concert? There is nothing like live music. Both the vibe from people around you as well as the musicians themselves, who can go off in different directions and stuff and create versions of songs that you love that you've never heard before. There's something to be said for the communal aspect of concerts. Gifting concert tickets to see their favorite artists can create unforgettable memories, and it's a great way to support their passion for music. And number 5, the top listener gifts for 2025. Coming in at number 4, what about personalized gifts? Consider personalizing items such as a custom vinyl record, or a engraved instrument, or a framed poster of their favorite band, and you can personalize it. They're unique, and they show thoughtfulness and appreciation for their musical taste. Number 4, personalized gifts. And coming into number 3, kind of similar to concert tickets or to audiobooks, what about a music subscription service? A subscription to a music streaming service like Spotify, Apple Music, or Tidal provides endless listening options and is a thoughtful gift for any music enthusiast. Coming in at number 3, a music subscription service. That way they can listen to their favorite artist over and over again. Number 2, getting more and more popular these days. Number 2, a vinyl record player. You can get a good one, and pretty cheap too. For those who appreciate the nostalgia of vinyl, a stylish record player can be a fantastic gift, and you can pair it with a selection of classic albums and make it a package, and even more so. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is there are a lot of these new vinyl record players that convert, including this Audio-Technica that you see on your screen, that convert vinyl records into MP3s. So if you've got a big, huge record collection from a long time ago, you can convert those albums into MP3s so you can listen to them on your phone or listening device. A vinyl record player. Yeah. And there's still some stuff that you can only get on vinyl. There's also something about the quality of the audio. You can definitely tell when it's a record. I'm not talking about the little pops or hisses, but I'm talking about the depth of the music, the bass, the highs and lows. Yeah. A vinyl record player coming in number 2. And how about for number 1? How about some high quality headphones or a Bluetooth speaker? A pair of noise canceling headphones from Sony or Bose can enhance the listening experience for any music lover. They provide excellent sound quality and comfort for long-term listening sessions. Come in a variety of budgets too. You can get one for under $100 and one for $400. I actually have a copy of the Bose headphones. Where are they? Sitting over there. And the noise canceling, and that's for you got to have one if you're going on a jet trip. Got to have it. But also think about portable Bluetooth speakers. Boy, have they come a long way. Altec Lansing, JBL, Marshall, they're powerful, and they're perfect for enjoying music on the go. You can get them. Here's one right here. Let me just pull this over here. Here's one right here. Look at it. It's dinky. It's dinky, dinky, dinky. And pretty loud. This one has controls right on it, so you can fast forward or reverse or go to the next selection. Plugs in by USB. A little Bluetooth speaker is something to think about. Perfect for enjoying music on the go. And you need to look for a model that has waterproof features for outdoor use. But there they are, the top 5 holiday gifts for 2025 for the book lover and music lover in your life. Well, as you can see here at the cabin, leaves have turned and fallen, And now we're getting ready for our first snowfall. We're going to have a lot of snow this year, from what I hear from the Farmer's Almanac. I don't know if you ever checked that out, but I wanted to tell you that we've got a show coming up on nonfiction books. Like, for example, my book on real estate, No Place Like Home, buying, selling, and investing in real estate, the no bullshit guide to real estate. So we're going to talk about that book, which is out now, as well as my other nonfiction books and the nonfiction genre in general. We're going to talk about what constitutes a nonfiction book, and some good ones that are out there now. That's coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and we'll do a special on nonfiction books. If you've got a favorite nonfiction book, will you let us know about it? You can send us an email right there at the bottom of the screen, bookinfo@nextstopparadise.com. That's our publishing company. Bookinfo@nextstopparadise.com. Well, Tom's Cabin is the number one place for you. I'm told we are the fastest growing show on BookTube, which I guess is a subsection of YouTube, all about books. But people are noticing and they're coming by, and we really appreciate it. Please tell your friends. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Great show. Thanks for PA for stopping by. We always try to bring you the best in author interviews. And we are now the fastest growing show on BookTube. So I'm honored by that and honored by your support. Please tell your friends. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us. And above all, peace and prosperity and joy and health to you, both now and in the new year. You make it a great holiday season.